This is the Infinity V Cluster, or short, just the cluster. And if you want to talk about a couple of things that this board is not short, and this board is not thin. You can see that this board has a good amount of thickness, and it carries it all the way to the rail. And it's got a good amount of length to it, 9.6. So when looking at this board, why is the board so thick all the way to the rail? One reason is that if you look at the width of the board, most 9.6s, you can't fit them under your arm that easily. It's going to be all the way up in your armpit. So this board, it's got quite a bit of thickness, and then it has the length, but it's relatively narrow for the length of the board. And what that's going to do is when you have a board that's narrow, it's faster rail to rail. So this board, because it's narrow, it's going to go faster through the water. It's also going to be more reactive to your input in turning to generate more speed. To help increase that rail-to-rail sensitivity, also in the bottom of the board, it's got a lot of V in the back, pretty much the back half of the board, but I'd say about the back 40% of the board, especially when you get back here, there's just a ton of V in the shape. And so the board's able to rock back and forth off that V. So where a lot of longboards in the 9.6 range are going to get their volume and their flotation through width, this board instead took it through thickness and carrying that foam all the way out to the rail and keeping it narrow and then increasing that sensitivity rail to rail. So it's going to be a real fast board and really easy to turn rail to rail to generate speed. There's a crisp, clean, defined edge pretty much the whole way through the board, which is going to release the water real easy and make it go even faster. And then it has a 2+1 setup with a standard longboard box in the center and then future boxes on the rails. So it's the Infinity V Cluster, or the cluster, and that's a little bit about the shape. It's all Tough-Like construction, so the EPS foam core, waterproof, with high-density foam all the way wrapped around the board, epoxy resin and fiberglass, and then the external paint to protect what's going on inside the board. Just strip the wax once every year or every season, put on new wax, the board looks brand new. Very, very durable construction board. It's going to last you a long time with very little maintenance. It's a great board, especially if you want to be able to generate a lot of speed down the line in soft conditions and not have something that's super wide and not all that reactive. The Infinity V Cluster, or just for short, the cluster.